Hello, ghouls and goblins. You're just in time for a scary walk down Savannah's haunted history. Some things so terrifying it will make you think twice about going out at night. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell for new stories and movie reviews. To step into Savannah, Georgia is to walk across a city built literally upon its own dead. There is a heavy, humid stillness that clings to the Spanish moss hanging from the live oaks, a stillness that feels less like peace and more like a held breath. Savannah is often called the most haunted city in America, but to understand why, you have to look past the charming facades of the Victorian mansions and the cobblestones of River Street. You have to look at a history defined by fire, yellow fever, public executions, and a peculiar urban planning decision that left thousands of bodies resting directly beneath the feet of modern tourists. In Savannah, the past isn't buried. It is merely waiting just below the surface. The foundation of Savannah's supernatural reputation begins with the very ground itself. When James Oglethorpe founded the colony in 1733, he envisioned a paradise, but the reality was a brutal struggle for survival. As the city grew, its cemeteries could not keep pace with the rising body count. During the various yellow fever epidemics of the 19th century, death came so quickly and so indiscriminately that the city ran out of consecrated ground. Faced with a public health crisis, city officials made a gruesome choice. They paved over the old burial grounds, moving the headstones but leaving the remains behind. Today, when you walk through Calhoun Square or sit on a bench in Madison Square, you are sitting atop forgotten colonial graves. It is said that the restless energy in Savannah stems from this fundamental lack of respect for the dead. The spirits here aren't just wandering, they are displaced, trapped under the asphalt and the brickwork of a city that chose to build on top of them rather than let them rest. Perhaps no location embodies this heavy history better than the Pirate's House. Established in 1753 as an inn for seafarers, it sits near the riverfront and served as a waypoint for some of the most dangerous men on the high seas. But the true horror of the Pirate's House wasn't what happened in the tap room, it was what happened in the tunnels below. In the 18th and 19th centuries, Shanghaiing was a common practice. Unlucky sailors or even unsuspecting locals would be drugged or knocked unconscious, then dragged through a secret tunnel leading from the basement of the Pirate's House directly to the river. They would wake up miles out at sea, forced into labor on a departing ship with no hope of return. Visitors today report the sound of heavy boots dragging across the floorboards and the feeling of cold hands grabbing at their ankles in the basement. The air in the tunnels is said to be thick with the despair of men who were stolen from their lives and never seen again. Moving from the docks into the heart of the historic district, we find the Sorrel-Weed House, a masterpiece of Greek Revival architecture that hides a legacy of suicide and scandal. In the mid-1800s, layers of tragedy struck the Sorrel family. Francis Sorrel's wife, Matilda, allegedly leapt to her death from the second-story balcony after discovering her husband in an affair with an enslaved woman named Molly. Shortly after Matilda's death, Molly was found hanging in the carriage house, a death many believe was not a suicide, but a murder to cover up the scandal. The energy inside the Sorrel-Weed House is notoriously hostile. Investigators have captured voices pleading for help and the distinct sound of a body hitting the pavement outside. It is a house where the walls seem to sweat with the memory of domestic ruin, a place where the social elite's polished exterior crashed into a violent, private reality. While the Sorrel Weed House represents private tragedy, the Marshall House on Broughton Street represents collective suffering. During the Civil War and the subsequent yellow fever outbreaks, this grand hotel was converted into a makeshift hospital. In those days, medical treatment was primitive at best. Amputations were performed without anesthesia, and the severed limbs were reportedly piled high in the corners of the rooms. During a renovation in the 1990s, workers pulled up floorboards to find a collection of human bones, remnants of those long ago surgeries that were simply tucked away and forgotten. Guests at the Marshall House now report seeing phantom Union soldiers pacing the hallways and children running through the corridors late at night. The most chilling accounts describe the scent of ether and burnt flesh that occasionally wafts through the lobby, a sensory echo of the building's time as a slaughterhouse for the living. Not all of Savannah's ghosts are victims of circumstance. Some are the architects of their own dark legends. Consider the tale of Alice Riley, the first person executed in the colony of Georgia. In 1734, Alice and her companion, Richard White, were accused of murdering their employer, a cruel man named William Wise. Alice maintained her innocence, claiming she acted in self-defense against his abuse, but the courts were unforgiving. She was pregnant at the time, and the execution was delayed until she gave birth. Shortly after her child was born and taken from her, Alice was led to Wright Square and hanged. Legend says that Alice Riley still wanders Wright Square, her ghost appearing as a frantic woman searching for her lost baby. Interestingly, Wright Square is one of the few places in the city where Spanish moss refuses to grow on the trees. Local lore claims the moss won't grow on the site of such a profound injustice, leaving the branches bare and skeletal as a testament to Alice's final moments. The city's dark history also touches on the macabre curiosity of the Victorian era. The Mercer Williams house, made famous by the book Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, is the site of 3 separate deaths. The most famous was the shooting of Danny Hansford by Jim Williams in 1981, a case that resulted in 4 separate murder trials. But before that, in 1969, an 11-year-old boy named Tommy Downs fell to his death from the roof of the then abandoned house while chasing pigeons. He was impaled on the spiked iron fence below. To this day, people passing the house late at night claim to see the silhouette of a young boy perched on the roofline, staring down at the spot where the iron spikes still stand. The house is a monument to the idea that tragedy has a way of repeating itself in the same 4 walls, drawing in those who are destined for violent ends. Even the places designed for beauty in Savannah are stained by the past. Bonaventure Cemetery, with its winding paths and haunting statuary, is renowned for its atmosphere. One of its most famous residents is little Gracie Watson. Gracie died of pneumonia at the age of 6, leaving her parents devastated. A local sculptor carved a life-size statue of her, capturing her likeness so perfectly that it is said to be uncanny. For over a century, Visitors have left toys and trinkets at her grave. Travelers tell stories of seeing a small girl in a white dress playing among the tombstones, only for her to vanish when approached. More unsettling are the reports that the statue itself occasionally cries tears of blood if the toys left for her are removed. In Bonaventure, the line between art and the afterlife becomes dangerously thin. The sheer volume of hauntings in Savannah can be attributed to the city's unique geography and its relationship with the elemental. Savannah is a city of water and wood, built on a bluff overlooking a river that has carried both immense wealth and immense suffering. The high quartz content in the coastal soil is believed by some to act as a natural battery, storing the recordings of past events. This would explain why so many of Savannah's hauntings are looping scenes of the past that play over and over regardless of the living. Whether it's the phantom gallows in Wright Square or the spectral dinner parties reported in Old Pink House, the city functions like a haunted film reel that refused to stop spinning. For those who visit, the advice is usually the same: watch where you step and listen to the wind in the oaks. The feeling of being watched is not a trick of the mind. It is the collective gaze of generations who never left. The people of Savannah have learned to live with their ghosts, treating them like eccentric neighbors who just happen to be dead. But for the outsider, the experience is different. It is a reminder that time is not a barrier, and that the ground we walk upon is never as solid as we think. The history of Savannah is written in ink, but its hauntings are written in the very air you breathe, proving that the most beautiful places often hide the darkest hearts. In the most haunted city in America, the past isn't just haunting the present, it's still living there. Thank you for watching today's edition of Twice Told Horror. Please share with family and friends, and always keep the night light on.